The reason: Jesus was stripped of his garments. After completing 40 days of fasting and being tempted, Jesus met the 12 disciples and spent 3 years healing and teaching many. He was later captured by leaders of his own people, the priests and Pharisees, falsely accused of treason, and handed over to the Romans to be crucified. Pilate, the Roman governor at the time, knew Jesus was innocent, but, for political reasons, and to gain favor with the Jews, allowed his crucifixion. Before being crucified, Jesus was stripped of his garments by Roman soldiers. Given the value of cloth at the time, the clothes of those condemned to death were a source of income for Roman soldiers, and thus Jesus' outer garment was divided into 4 pieces among them. Jesus being stripped of his garments symbolically represents him shedding the status of God's Son to take on the status of a sinner, dying on the cross. The 4 soldiers who divided his garments among themselves symbolize humanity coming to share in the divine status of God's Son. In the Bible, the number 4 symbolizes the entire world, as seen in the 4 directions of east, west, north, and south, representing all people from every direction, including the 4 categories of individuals: men, women, young, and old, as well as the 4 social standings of wealth and poverty, nobility, and commonality. Thus, the 4 soldiers dividing Jesus' garments among themselves symbolically represent the entire humanity, sharing in the status of God's Son, indicating that all of humanity has the potential to assume the divine status through Jesus. Jesus took upon himself the status of a sinner on our behalf and achieved our salvation by dying on the cross. This is why Apostle Paul highlights this transformation in Galatians 3:27, stating that all who are baptized into Christ have clothed themselves with Christ. Similarly, John 1:12 declares that all who receive Jesus and believe in his name are given the right to become children of God. The act of Jesus being stripped of his garments can be likened to the story in Mark Twain's The Prince and the Pauper, where the prince and the pauper swap clothes and, consequently, their identities. In a similar vein, Jesus transferred his divine status to us while taking upon himself our sinful status, thereby completing the work of salvation for humanity. God desires for you and all humanity to don the garment of divine sonship that Jesus Christ laid aside, hoping for us to realize and embrace this new identity and faith, and be transformed into God's children. This transformation is part of God's salvation plan, fulfilled through Jesus Christ. By accepting this word in your heart and being baptized in the name of Jesus, you will receive the right to become children of God, as promised, and your heart will overflow with peace and joy, unveiling a completely new world that you have never experienced before. Clothe yourself in Jesus Christ. Become a child of God. I sincerely hope that you will claim the true rights granted to God's children.
구독, 좋아요, 알림 설정 해주세요. Subscribe, like, set notifications.